Welcome in. How are we doing? It is a Wednesday. And for some of you, it's an Ash Wednesday. Charlie, remind me again, are you Catholic, non-Catholic?
I was raised Catholic. I don't really practice all that much nowadays.
Very common. Not surprised at all. So today's Ash Wednesday for some, those old school people that are Catholic. And I mean, you have to be old school like I am. You don't eat meat today because of it. You go to church. We're going to mass tonight. Get your ashes, all that stuff.
I celebrated Fat Tuesday. I got cannolis yesterday. Those were really good.
Got a lot of jokes. Just going to leave it alone. Coming up on today's show, Packers punter Dan Whelan. Had a chance to catch up with him earlier today, this morning. He is in Ireland in the UK and is back there from where he's from. When he left, he was 13. And now he goes back as this like NFL star punter going back to where he grew up, and a pretty surreal experience for him. So we'll talk with Dan Whelan about that. Also, we got into talking about Rich Bisaccia being let go as Packers special teams coordinator. And I will let you hear his thoughts on that. And him and Rich Bisaccia were talking and texting last night when it all went down. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Dan Whelan, Packers punter, joins us coming up at 4 o'clock. Green and Gold Update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
And people need to give their song recommendations or band recommendations for our new bumper music.
I'm glad that you remembered because I completely forgot.
Because I put together an Excel sheet and I don't want to let that effort go to waste, Sparky. All right.
I understand. Yes, I totally get it. All right. So also on today's show, throughout the show, your chance to build the new bumper music rotation on this show. Because I know everybody's got issues one way or the other about why do they play this song? Why are they playing that song? Y'all going to get to pick the playlist. That's what I came up with yesterday. You pick the playlist. Yesterday, when I brought it up right away, a couple people said Van Halen, right? So if you have a group that you would want added into the rotation, if you have specific songs that you would like to hear added into the rotation as you're listening to the show, all are welcome. You have until 5 o'clock to put together and help build this playlist. You're like, well, I don't know these things off the top of my head. Most of you have a Spotify playlist. Go on your playlist and be like, oh, these would be 2 or 3 songs I'd love to hear on my favorite sports talk show during the week. Cool. And then just text them in, and we'll go from there. Nicolay Law Talking text line, 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. If you haven't saved this phone number to your phone, you should, because everybody texts nowadays. Not everybody necessarily calls talk shows anymore, but everybody will generally text from time to time. So put it in your phone, save it in your phone. And you can also use, do you want to let them use the YouTube dugout chat as well?
Go for it.
Are you going to be able to keep up over there?
I think I can. Brett already commented in the dugout chat, said in the air tonight, Phil Collins.
Perfect.
Put that on there. It's perfect. It fits.
So you're adding it in. And you've got an Excel spreadsheet, and you're building the whole thing out.
I got artists. If you want a song requested, I'll put the song in too.
Right.
I can't guarantee that, but you know what? We'll try.
Yes. We'll try. And then we will debut all of this. I'm hoping Monday we'll debut all the new bumper music for the show, and we'll be a little bit different, I guess, than everybody else. So if you want to do that, let's go. Nicolay Law Talking text line, 414-677-1250. Going to start off talking about Rich Bisaccia, because that only makes sense to do, as he wasn't released. He wasn't let go. He technically stepped aside and decided not to do this anymore. I was surprised. I was home. I got a text message from a buddy of mine who said, finally. I'm like, finally? So I click on the text message, and there's the image from Tom Pelissero, like a couple of minutes after it got posted. I was like, oh, okay. So then I got on social media right away, and I immediately tweeted out, okay, so thoughts, Packer fans, on this deal here. And the amount of people that responded was quite fun to watch as they were trickling in. Hardly any of them were positive about, or not positive, negative about Rich Bisaccia leaving. Now, again, special teams coordinator, assistant head coach, all of that fun stuff. So there's 2 roles that this man was sharing. My question is simple. Do you have any more hope today than you did yesterday that the special teams unit will improve this year? majority of you, us, whatever, wanted Rich Bisaccia gone. Now he's gone. So now is it just going to improve and everything's going to be fine because they're going to get somebody more competent in there than Rich Bisaccia as special teams coordinator? I feel like a lot of you feel that's the correct answer. And I'm here to listen to whatever you may have to say. Some of the tweets that were coming in yesterday, Jim says he stepped down because the coaches didn't have the guts to fire him. Shaking my head. Steve said, won't matter a bit if the GM and coach don't put more emphasis on getting a guy who can return kicks and special teams as a whole. David tweeted at Sparky Radio last night, I'm of the belief it's an organizational issue, not a coaching issue. If the philosophy stays the same and the results are much better, then it was Rich. If the results are much better and they also changed the philosophy, then there's no way of knowing if it was Rich or not. So those went three different avenues. What do you think? Any more hope today than you had yesterday that this special teams unit is now all of a sudden going to improve without Rich Bisaccia? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials, WI Sports Radio, streaming live on X and on YouTube from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Brett said he has no faith whatsoever, as Andy Herman said with Mitch and Tommy in the Mason Crosby show, believe it when I see it as far as the special teams unit getting better. We're trying to get Justice Moscata on the show because he had two scathing pieces on Bisaccia and this special teams unit during the football season. And he really went in depth on numbers and analysis and all of this other stuff. So I really want to see what he has to say about this whole thing. Now, as far as when Rich Bisaccia was here and was coach, he was in charge of the special teams from 2022 through 2025. So that's 4 years. His rankings, 17th, 27th, 22nd, and 20th. Those were the rankings of the special teams units for those 4 years while he was the special teams coach. Remember that Rich Bisaccia was paid, I believe it was $1 million when they got him. He was coming off of being the interim head coach for the Raiders, after the head coach was let go. And a lot of people thought that Rich Bisaccia was going to keep that Raiders job and be the next head coach because the players loved him. They played hard for him at the end of the year. They were buying into what Rich Bisaccia was selling. And it was said then, and it has been said since by Packers players, Packers coaches, front office people, that Rich Bisaccia is a great leader of men. He gets it. Dudes respect him. Dudes will run through a wall for him. They love Rich Bisaccia. Keyshawn Nixon, obviously heartbroken that Rich Bisaccia stepped away with what he put on social media. You'll hear from Daniel Whelan coming up at 4 o'clock. So clearly it wasn't a deal of guys not buying in. I can't sit here and tell you right now at 2:10 on Wednesday, February 18th, that I think the Packers special teams unit is going to be better next year without Rich Bisaccia. I can't. None. Because I don't think he's a horrible coach. I really don't. And he may go somewhere else and have a great special teams unit. Could happen. Could very well happen. The assistant head coaching part, to me, that is something I need some clarity on. I need some clarity from somebody that tells me what exactly were his duties as the assistant head coach. Now there, I may say, okay, we might be able to improve there, right? Like, how instrumental was he in some late game decisions by Matt LaFleur? How instrumental was he in timeouts being called or clock management at the end of games? Were him and Matt LaFleur in constant communication about how things were being handled? I don't think they were. But if they were, okay, well then I'm going to say, yeah, we can improve there. We can definitely improve in that area with somebody different if he was involved in that. Again, I don't think he was, but if he was, that would be an area where we can improve. The other thing about this is going to be what? The fourth special teams coordinator in 8 years? I mean, that's kind of nuts. I mean, and maybe special teams coordinators don't last very long in the National Football League on average, but you would think by this point you would have found somebody that you were willing to stick with. And I think Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur were going to stick with Rich Bisaccia, or at least that's what they said outwardly. Something clearly happened internally to sway Rich Bisaccia. Something. Now, what was that something? I don't know. I've had a lot of people speculating and guessing as far as, hey, they talking about cutting Brandon McManus, and he's like, screw this. I'm not going through another kicker tryout and going through that fiasco. Is it they're going to move on from Josh Jacobs, one of his guys from the Raiders, and he's like, nope, I'm getting out. I don't like the direction we're headed here. Who knows? No idea, because he was very, very vague about why he was stepping down. And I brought up the health issue as far as, hey, man, maybe there's a health issue. And I asked Daniel Whelan about that in our interview. He'll hear his answer coming up at 4 o'clock about that and what all was said between him and Rich Bisaccia. Josh in Waukesha, do you have any more hope today than you did yesterday that the special teams units will improve?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And good to hear you on the arrogant, Sparky. It's been a bit here. I just look at it, the Packers, since Ted Thompson took over, the organizational philosophy has been what? Draft and develop. With draft and develop means that we're skewing young on special teams because your first and second rounders and your established vets largely aren't going to play special teams, right?
Yep.
And with younger players, you're going to get mistakes. It's just part of the game. I'd be curious to know, those teams that succeed at special teams, are they any good year in and year out? I mean, do they have an aberration year here and there? Maybe, but are they consistently good? I just look at it like, if that's your organizational philosophy, because you're not going to track free agents, you kind of you take the good with the bad. And then, when you look at Bisaccia, to your point, he's 65. Does he really want to work 100-hour weeks, pushing 70? I mean, could be health. Who knows what that comes down to? But I think the underlooked part of what the fans are reacting to the move. But the reality is he's assistant head coach too. He's got input on both sides of the ball, and we don't know what that looks like. Could be really bad. We might take a step back to take a step forward, and we're late in the process. So who are you going to get? You're probably looking into the college ranks, much like you look at Halfley for. So I don't have much hope, and I'm okay with that, because the reality is if we're going to do anything, we got to be better defensively and offensively first.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I want to remind people that may have forgotten this. Between 2018 and 2019, going into the 2019 season, the Packers were once again trying to figure out special teams and all of this other stuff. There was a gentleman that was out there named Darren Rizzi. And they could have had Darren Rizzi. But the organization determined they didn't want to pay Darren Rizzi top money for special teams and decided not to go in that direction. And it wasn't until, 3 years later, 2022, that they decided they really finally did have to invest and spend top dollar to try to fix the special teams unit. That's when. If they would have spent the money then on Darren Rizzi, I firmly believe that this team would have been in a much different spot than they currently are. He is one of the best, if not the best, special teams coordinators in college football. And to not take advantage of that when you had the opportunity, you really screwed all that up. But that goes back to the lack of disrespect shown to that unit for a number of years. And as Brian Gutekunst pointed out, it wasn't until Rich Bisaccia got there that they actually looked at signing and drafting players to help special teams. Because Ted Thompson, when he was there, didn't care about it. I'm drafting football players that can help offense and defense. And whatever is left over, you all figure out what you want to do with them on special teams. But I am not going to just be developing special teams as part of my job. Like, there just wasn't that. And then we get the stupid saying that they came up with, we fans. I'm so glad that's going to be done. But that was another thing that was brought up. And through Bisaccia and LaFleur and all of that. And it's a fun thing. Yeah, we're all in it together and all of that. Fine. And that's the leader of men and everybody buying in and all that stuff. But again, this could have been addressed much earlier with a guy with a proven track record of top special teams units for years. And they didn't want to spend the money on Darren Rizzi at that point. And now they've been struggling since. And again, Rizzi was with the Saints through 2024. He's the interim head coach. Then what happened? Then he gets up and he leaves. And who hires him? The Denver Broncos. Could have got him after the 24 season. Could have fired Bisaccia, said, we're good. I'm going to go get this dude who's had top special teams units no matter where he's went. And I'm going to bring in Darren Rizzi right now and fix this. They chose not to. They rolled with Bisaccia. Because again, there was a genuine love, it appears, from how they talk in front of cameras and on social media. There's a genuine love from the players and coaches in that building towards the man, the guy, in Rich Bisaccia, that they did not want to part ways.
Do you think there's going to be any change in the relationships between some of these players and Matt LaFleur now that Rich Bisaccia isn't in the building and Jeff Hafley isn't in the building? I feel like both, at least Rich Bisaccia, Jeff Hafley was brought in to be a defensive coordinator, and he just happened to be that kind of leader of men's style coach. But Rich Bisaccia, from what I saw over the past few seasons, and even in Oakland to some degree, I didn't see the strongest special teams units. I saw a guy that was coming in to be a leader of men and help out the head coach with these kind of decisions, especially a younger head coach, in order to give them a little bit of a different viewpoint or get free agents to come in that respect a coach like Rich Bisaccia. Now that you don't have that in the room, how easy is it going to find a guy that can do that and also be a special teams coordinator too at the same time, and one that fits with Matt LaFleur enough that it helps keep Matt LaFleur in control of that locker room?
I think you raise a great point, because usually, you can tell me your experiences, normally there's a good cop, bad cop, right? You got the yeller and the screamer, and then you got the other guy that calms people down or whatever the case may be. Hey, man, you got to understand what coach was saying here, man, blah, 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 blah. He still loves you. You're still his guy. But
in my experience, it's the offensive coordinator is the yeller, the offensive line coach is the lover. Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. Right. So, but you normally always have that, right? Somebody's the yeller, and then the other guy is trying to calm everybody down and be like, hey, he means well. This is what he's trying to say. Just chill out. He loves you, right? That's kind of what it is. Now, I don't know if that was the case with Bisaccia and Matt LaFleur. I will say this. I was opposed to Luke Getsy as quarterback coach. I am fearful that now he's going to attach the associate head coach to Luke Getsy next. Very, very fearful that that's how this is going to play. And then you're going to hire a special teams coordinator that's only going to be the coordinator, which, fine, it is what it is. And you're going to move from there and then see what happens. I just, as I've stated before, I don't want Luke Getsy in the organization. Like, we're good. We can just move on. But that's not going to be the case because LaFleur keeps his guys close to him. The other part of this is, as has been talked about to death, I'm sure, there's not necessarily a ton of proven guys necessarily out there. And again, Justice Moscata put out a great piece of who is left out there to be had with any type of experience. The one thing that wasn't brought up, and I think is something worth thinking about, do you go to the college ranks? Do you go try and find one of the top special teams guys in the college ranks to bring in and add to your staff to help you look at players going into the draft that person thinks could really help you? Hey, look, man, nobody's really talking about this dude, but this dude would be amazing as a returner. Like, you can get him probably 6th, 7th round, and the kid is unbelievable as a returner. We saw him twice in the last 2 or 3 years. I just wonder if you go that route and bringing in somebody younger to come in versus an old head like Fossil who gets brought in, who's been around the league 100 years. You bring him in and go, okay, well, we know what this looks like. You didn't really roll the dice or anything. At this point, I think I'm more willing to roll the dice and go the college route potentially versus going with a retread hire that we've seen already, because the top ones aren't out there.
I can see where you're coming from with that and how they could help with that kind of scouting process. At the same time, does Brian Gutekunst and this Packers front office really care about drafting special teams players in this year's draft? Is that something they're going to be asking for from their special teams coordinator coming in this position?
Yeah, I think it has to be because, as he pointed out at the end of the season press conference, Bisaccia is the one that convinced him that they had to start drafting guys and looking at this and signing guys like Zane Anderson and Welch and some of these other guys they brought in specifically for special teams, right?
And I wanted to get to that because Wendell Ferreira commented that to Brandon Snide, friend of the station here on 9 to Noon, produces that show with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Brandon put out, the head coach said he never talks to kickers. They haven't had a punt return for a touchdown in 12 years. They still don't have a kick or returner this team, nor have they in years. And then Wendell Ferreira comments under that and lists all the special teams players that they supposedly signed or said were going to be special teams players this year. I was looking at this list, and Nick Neiman spent most of the season injured. Christian Welch spent most of the season injured. Zane Anderson was injured and also was playing starter minutes for a little while. Bo Melton was in that backup cornerback room and backup wide receiver room all season long. Kaiton Oladapo at the end of the season was getting starter or at least rotation in that safety room. Chris Brooks was the only one that I think is still a special teams player throughout the year. Josh Wiley got starting tight end role at the end of the year. Aaron Mosby was starting pass rusher at the end of the year. All these special teams players that they signed to be special teams players at the end of the season weren't able to be special teams players because they were either on the injured list or were forced into starting roles. I think you have to figure out how to get guys healthy, and then you can get your special teams players to play special teams, and maybe things will change that way.
Here's one from the 262 in the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Key starters played a lot on all special teams units last year. Dobbs and Reed at punt returner. McKinney, Evan Williams, Edge Cooper, and Bullard all covered kicks. The entire starting offensive line had a block on field goals. For the love of God, they had Josh Jacobs returning kickoffs in the playoff game against Chicago. The quote, youth on special teams narrative is trash, says the 262.
But again, to the offensive line on the field goal units, Jacob Monk and Travis Glover were injured all season long. Where were they to be those players in that spot? Again, they have players to do this stuff. They were forced to play starters. I know that's something they've done in the past, and some of these positions, like kick returner, they shouldn't have even bothered playing starters. Some of these other spots, they need to play starters, and that was part of the issue this year. And I don't know if that's Rich Bisaccia or the front office not addressing some of these backup players, going to practice squads more often, getting those guys to play special teams. But at the same time, they were handcuffed for a lot of this season. You want to see a big change this year, especially with trying to keep guys on the field.
He's Charlie Hughes at C Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Talking about the Packers special teams unit, do you have any more hope today than you did yesterday? And we have sarcasm on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line as well, 608. Jacob and Tosa. Yeah, so happy. Bisaccia is gone. The new guy will for sure tell Brandon McManus, kick better. Right. I mean, again, it's very, very hard to blame him for McManus missed kicks in a playoff game. It just is. Kevin in West Bend on the 414, he is not the reason why they were so bad on special teams. He also was not the solution either. Yeah. And again, we go back to what we always talk about, which is there has to be buy-in from the front office. And there has to be support from everybody around you if this is going to work. Everybody has to buy in. If you listen to Gutekunst, he's saying I was more bought in now than I was before he got here. You want to know what else kind of stinks in this whole thing?
What's that?
Bisaccia's right-hand man left for Cleveland how many days ago? 2 days ago?
Yeah, pretty recently.
And then the dude steps away. If you thought you were going to step away and you love the organization as much as you do and you love your dude, wouldn't you have said, hey, man, I think I'm going to step away. Just tell Cleveland no, and, this job will be yours. I'm going to step away, and you can have this job in Green Bay. Wouldn't you have had that conversation? Or are things so bad, even though he's not saying it, he's like, yeah, take the Cleveland gig because I'm out of here, right? Don't you think those two have a conversation? I mean, don't you think that he tells Rich, hey, Cleveland offered me this job. Hey, I got a chance to get this Cleveland job, right? Don't you think they had the conversation? And if Rich was truly thinking of leaving, don't you think he would have said something? And I'll compare this to another moment in Packers history. Mike Holmgren has an opportunity to go to the Seattle Seahawks to be president of the organization, GM of the organization, and the head coach. They're in their second Super Bowl. Packer fans to this day are convinced that if he didn't have that Seattle job waiting for him, he would have been more focused and they would have won the Super Bowl. I don't believe that at all. But either way. So he leaves. he takes the job in Seattle. What happens shortly after that? Ron Wolf says, I'm done. I'm going to step away. Mike Sherman's going to take over going forward. What is that? I was so mad when that happened. I was like, come on, man. Like, if you thought you were a year or two away from stepping aside, why wouldn't you have told Mike, like, hey, man, just hang tight. I'm only going to do this for another year or two, and this baby is yours, and I'm out the door. Now, no, he wouldn't have got Bob Harlan's job, but he would have got to be GM coach. And maybe Mike did know and wanted more money from Paul Allen and went to Seattle anyhow. But that was odd timing, just like this is odd timing.
Well, and I think something that stands out to me a little bit is that right now, the way that Cleveland's team is, I think I'd rather be the special teams coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. I think I'd rather go there and have less eyes on me because the rest of the team is having just as much issues. And I can go there and work with what I got and not be criticized every day like Rich Bisaccia has been since he's become the special teams coordinator of the Packers. I think you could even say the same thing about that GM position. Back then, Seattle wasn't as highly touted as it is now. I feel like you don't get the same kind of eyes on you taking that role versus taking a Packers role.
No, see, he had to build it up, and he traded for Matt Hasselbeck from the Packers.
So that looks a lot better on your resume than messing up the Packers potentially.
He also made a horrible trade, trading Almon Green for Fred Vincent that blew up in his face and was great for the Packers. 920, Nicola, you want to talk in text line. Here you go. Hire one of these three college coaches now. Jeff Banks at Texas, LeVar Woods at Iowa, or Chris Biaggi at Notre Dame. Fine. Sure. I'm in on any of those. Pick one. Doesn't matter to me. I'd rather go that route than do a retread NFL coach. Just saying. That would be how I would address this if it were me. Coming up next, we'll switch gears from Rich Bisaccia. We'll get back into it a little bit more at 3 o'clock because we've got another question about this. Dan Whelan, Packers punter, had a chance to talk to him earlier about Rich Bisaccia leaving. We'll play that back for you coming up at 4 o'clock during the Green and Gold Update, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. But coming up next, Doug Gottlieb, we played the clip from his last game, losing his cool in the post-game presser. Now he issues an apology. Did he really have to apologize for what he did? Did he really have to? We'll talk about that coming up next. Maybe he should have pled the fifth, right? When asked to go, hey, I listened to my boy Sparky on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. He said, Havish for a chair would tell me to plead the fifth talking about the refereeing situation. So I'm just not going to say nothing. Maybe Doug Gottlieb should have pled the fifth and taken himself out of that situation. Havish, and Rotier are here for you. Experience matters when the stakes are high. And if you're involved in a wreck or something like that, and you're trying to get your life back in order again, the stakes are high for you. Now, regardless if it's not as big of an accident as somebody else, and maybe you're not going to get millions of dollars or whatever, they're going to treat you like you're the most important case. And that's how you want to be treated, right? You don't want to be treated like a throwaway, like, oh, that's not a lot. We're not going to worry about him, or we're not going to worry about her. No, they treat you like you are number one, and they want to make sure they do right by you. And that's how you stay in business and do this since 1930 with all the different people going. Havish has been around forever. And the reason is because they do it the right way. 13 locations around the state, Wausau, Green Bay, Appleton, southeastern Wisconsin, Madison, all over the place. For more information, all you have to do is go to Habish.com. Again, that's Habish.com, or call them 800-2HABISH, 800-242-2874. Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. You can tell them Sparky sent you. right, the bumper music is rolling. We're taking your recommendations for the new set of bumper music that will debut on this show, hopefully on Monday. That's the plan. We're only doing it today. One day only, 2 to 5.
I'm only taking, some people are doing multiple recommendations. I'm only taking 1, 2. But if we don't get enough responses, then I'll take your extras.
How are you going to go back and find the extras?
Because I'll know, dude. I can read. I know which ones I took and wrote down. So I'll go back and be like, oh, that one's matched with these 2. I'll put those 2 back in.
Whatever, as long as you know what you're doing. Nicolay Law Talk and text line for your recommendations. Text them in. I don't want full lines of people bothering Charlie. So text in your recommendations or leave them in the Dugout YouTube chat on YouTube or on X. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Bunch of different recommendations coming in. If I go back here and look at them, Lindsey Sterling, Shabuzi, Shinedown from the 414's recommendations coming in. I'm okay with a couple of those, I guess, for the most part. Let's see, what else do we have here? Andrew WK, I'm so humble. Let's see.
Do you know that one? I didn't know that song.
Andrew WK, I'm so humble. No, I don't know that song.
I picked the Lonely Island song that you put on there because that one sounded fun.
Did you go and listen to them?
No, not yet. I'm going to.
Yeah, I would say definitely listen to them and figure out which makes the best music. So let me clarify something. I don't want love songs in our bumper music. So like if you're going to pick some slow ballad, it's probably not going to work. It's got to be more upbeat type stuff.
What about from like Kiss from a Rose? That's a banger.
No.
You don't like Seal?
It's not that I don't like Steel. I don't want Kiss from a Freaking Rose on a sports talk show. No, I want music that moves or gets you amped up or stuff like that. That's kind of what we're looking
Huey
for.
Huey Lewis in the News.
Sure.
Randy in the Greendale.
I like Huey Lewis in the News. Yeah, they used to be bumper music back in the day on this station. So, yeah, that's fine. So, again, Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250. All right, let's talk about Doug Gottlieb, shall we? Doug Gottlieb was on this morning talking about his outburst after the UW-Milwaukee game. And how he lost his mind. If you haven't heard it, this is what it sounded like.
All we ask is that there's a fair game. That's what we ask. Okay, CJ O'Hara goes and gets an offensive rebound. Their player dives at his legs. CJ gets called for a foul. I need Donnie at the league and the new commissioner to explain to me the disparity in the officiating. That's what I need explained to me. I got no problem with their team, their staff. They played hard. They did what they do. They play tough and they play aggressive. I need somebody to explain to me, okay, how just those 2. There's others that I have massive issues with, okay? Others that I have including every time we touched them, there was a foul in the second half. The last play of the game, just to get the ball, they're grabbing us and holding us. Okay, and I understand. If you're not calling that, that's fine. You had the exact same play at both ends in the last play of the game. The exact same play. The exact same play.
Now, again, we played this. We talked about it. I got no problem with it. Whatever. People lose their cool, whatever, in heat of the moment type situations and so forth. You have a right to be angry and mad. Again, if he doesn't swear at the end, this doesn't go viral, it doesn't become a thing. If his name's not Doug Gottlieb, it doesn't go viral, it doesn't become a thing. If Greg Gard does that, does this go viral? Probably not. We used to maybe talk about it in Wisconsin, but it probably doesn't go crazy around everywhere else. So that's all part of this. Okay, fine. Then this morning, Doug Gottlieb, who is on every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas and Josh Albright, came on and he talked about the outburst and suspension.
Everyone was behind you, man. Like,
it doesn't matter. Josh, honestly, it doesn't matter. And I can tell you this way.
No,
I can tell you this way, okay? Because it doesn't matter. It's like you can call somebody out and say something that didn't feel right or whatever. That's not the form. That's not the way it's done. It's not the protocol of the league. In any league, the Verizon League is no different. And then because of my name and because of the platform that I've been on, different platforms I've been on for years, it makes anything I say multiply by 10. I know about the technical foul. I was right. But again, it doesn't matter if you're right. It's not the point. The point is you can't call out officials, to the media. You just can't do it.
So, Doug, you mentioned to us at the top when you joined us in the first segment that you're waiting for a ruling from the Horizon League. What does that mean? Have they given you any indication as to what the ruling could be? or are you just kind of sitting in the dark on this?
No, I mean, I think there's two possibilities. One is a public reprimand. The other one would be a game suspension. So don't know which it's going to be. Obviously, I'd like to coach against Oakland, but it's out of my hands. Christine Newman is the interim commissioner of the league because we're in a transition phase. So we had a hearing yesterday. You get a chance to speak your mind, provide any video, audio evidence, first person witness, whatever. Josh Moon was with me. So yeah, that's basically it. You just kind of wait, and whatever they feel like is in the best interest of the league, that's what they do.
So that was this morning. Then later in the day comes an apology from Gottlieb that says, quote, "I'd like to apologize to the Horizon League and the officials for my disparaging comments following Sunday's game. I understand and appreciate how difficult their job is and respect what they do for the sport of basketball. I will be better moving forward." Could you do a quick Google search and make sure he hasn't been suspended or something yet? We may have missed it. This is the thing. First of all, he very well may have meant every word of that. But at this point, anybody on the outside looking in is like, okay, well, the university made him make this apology or whatever. You hear Gottlieb this morning talking about it. To me, he can say, okay, well, this isn't going to happen again. I'll be better. It is going to happen again. It absolutely is. You want to know why? Because that's who he is. You hired a guy that is emotional. Like if you hire me, you get emotionally charged, Sparky. That's how this goes. If you hire Doug Gottlieb, you get emotionally charged Doug Gottlieb. Who is going to lose his cool on the sidelines? Who's going to lose his cool in a press conference? If you didn't want that, then you shouldn't have hired the man at the end of the day. That's it. You shouldn't have hired him. Then you made a bad decision. You knew going in. Did you ever listen to his radio show at all? Did you ever hear him do anything on TV? Like, you knew his personality. This is the guy. You knew when you hired him, that could happen. You knew when you hired him, the chair incident, whatever else, that could happen. You knew that. You also knew that he was never a head coach before, which means there was going to be a learning curve. I don't care who you are, right? So you go through the struggles last year. Now, to Green Bay's credit, they didn't get rid of him. They didn't fire him. They said, we trust. We brought him in for a reason. We're going to let him figure this out. He did figure it out, and they're better this year than they were last year. He went and quit his damn radio show. Now, again, I'm not sure where that came from. I don't know if that was pushed on him from above at Green Bay, like, hey, man, if you really want to do this, you're going to have to step aside. I don't know where the hell that came from. But either way, he steps away, gives up the radio show to prove his, quote, dedication to the Green Bay Phoenix. This is all just nonsense to me. It just is. You knew what you hired. You knew going in what it was. Mick Cronin right now. You're going to hear from him and Charlie Sounds of the day. He kicked his own player out of the game at UCLA last night. Kicked his own kid out. Sent him to the showers. Now, UCLA was getting smoked, so it didn't matter at that point. There's like 3-4 minutes left in the game, and he didn't like how the kid acted, got a teed up in the game or whatever. Didn't get kicked out by the refs. Comes over, Cronin goes, out you go, right? Then after the game, somebody asked Cronin a question about the Michigan State fan base. Cronin gets all mad. And the guy starts like, I don't know, raised his voice a little bit, kind of laughing like, I mean, that's a good question, coach. And he's like, are you raising your voice at me? How many clips have you seen of Mick Cronin this year saying something crazy and wacky or whatever?
Once a week with him.
Hey, you knew what you were getting, UCLA. That's who the dude is. You knew what you were getting. You can't be mad about that. If you hire Bruce Pearl, you know what you're getting, good and bad. You know what that looks like. So again, maybe we're apologizing so I don't get suspended. Maybe we're apologizing to keep all the boosters off my back. Whatever. But this whole thing of the question was, do you think Gottlieb should have apologized? That's the question. If you want to feel free to jump in, you can. Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250. I don't. I'm not in on this. And this whole thing about at the end of this apology, he says, I will be better moving forward. You can't say, I mean, yeah, I'm going to try to be better, but your temper is your temper. Your emotions are your emotions. listen to me. Here's a little private moment with me, okay? Do you know what I pray for when I go to church? I'm going to church tonight. Ash Wednesday. Do you know what I pray for? I pray for more patience. Right? God, let me have more patience with my kids. God, let me have more patience at work with people. I ask for patience. Been doing that for as long as I can remember, been asking for patience. Am I better now than I was? Yes. And anybody that's known me, Rami Makloff, would testify, I'm way more mellow now than I was. So God has definitely helped me out. But I'm just saying, like, that's kind of who I am as a person. And it's a struggle that I battle with. And I promise you, this dude and his emotions is something he also has to deal with. And to think it's going to change, odds are highly unlikely that it's going to change. If he's here 10 years, how many times do you think this is going to happen? In 10 years?
Once a month, because that's how long it's been happening so far.
I mean, I would say in 10 years, it's probably going to happen at least half dozen times.
Right.
At least maybe once a year. And we're going to keep doing this rigmarole every time he says something to be PC or politically correct. Come on, man. All right, take a quick time out. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Speaking of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, best place to be, man, to watch any college sporting event. The thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam. Baseball starts coming up here. Spring training games get going, I think, this weekend.
It's awesome. I love it.
It's crazy.
I'm so excited for baseball this year.
Game-winning touchdowns. So that'll be a while now. Buzzer-beating threes. Lots of those coming your way here in the next month and a half or so. You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience the raw exhilaration. The Potawatomi Sportsbook. Reserve your seat today by going to Potawatomi.com. Nominal food and beverage costs goes along with it. But again, it goes towards your food and beverage. So really, at the end of the day, you would have spent that money anyhow. Catch all the action in Supreme Space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall. Over 2,000 square feet big. Gigantic. 30 sporting events at one time you can watch. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. C. Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie Usen over there. Coming up 3 o'clock hour. We'll dive more into Rich Bisaccia. And we're going to talk more about organizational failures more than anything else, I think. We'll get into that coming up at 3 o'clock. But did you see this story on this David Basabe? I think that's how you say his name. Is that right? Is that
I think so. That looks right to me. I'll double check. We won't know for 10 years.
This 11-year-old in Venezuela. Did you see this? Because we're going to talk about that at 3:20. I'm sure nobody else on this station probably even mentioned it or brought it up. I saw it last night. I saved like 3 different tweets about it. And I was like, I have a 9-year-old, soon to be 10-year-old. And I had 2 other ones that are 19 and 21. So I've been through this age. I can't even fathom what is happening. I can't even put myself into the situation. But I'm going to try and put you into the situation that is going on with this 11-year-old and put Charlie into the situation. Charlie and I differ on how we would handle this necessarily going forward. But we'll get into this at 3:20. And then Charlie's Sounds of the Day comes up at 3:40. Also, Dan Whelan, Packers punter. Had a chance to sit down with him earlier today. He's on a tour with the Packers in Ireland and the UK, going around doing different events. And I had a chance to chat with him early today. So we'll play that back for you. Talk about his whole story coming up to the NFL. Talk about Rich Bisaccia being let go, all of that fun stuff. That comes up at 4 o'clock. Text your friends, call your friends, tell your family members, hey, Sparky's got Dan Williams talking about Bisaccia at 4 o'clock. So we'll do that as well. Coming up next, though, we'll talk more about Bisaccia and the Packers. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Here we are, hour number 2. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk about this 11-year-old deal. It blows my mind with the Philadelphia Phillies. It's going to blow your mind, too. That's at 3:20. We're going to put you in the parent shoes, I guess you could say, coming up at 3:20. Charlie Sounds of the Day comes up at 3:40. Dan Whelan, Packers punter, will join us coming up at 4 o'clock during our Green and Gold Update, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Talk about his upbringing, talk about Rich Bisaccia being let go last night as special teams coordinator and assistant head coach. That's at 4 o'clock. Before we get into this Packers special teams thing, I clicked over because I was pretty much ranting the entire time on Doug Gottlieb. Never looked at anything other than Charlie as I was yelling and screaming about this. Man, there are some people mad like this about this in the Nicolay Law Talk and text line as well at 414-677-1250. From the 262, mark my words, Doug Gottlieb is going to get hired by a big-time program. That's from Larry in Wauwatosa. 920, not being able to call out poor officiating is complete BS. They need to be held accountable as well, and it's not like Doug trashed them. I think it's a bit of an overreaction from the Horizon League. Another one from the 920, I'm a very emotional person. I had to learn to control my temper. This is a great course, and Doug Gottlieb absolutely needs to take it. He calls it how to be pissed off properly, says Ron in Rome. Yeah. Well, again, as I've said before, when you are a certain way, like he has been for as old as he is, this is not a 12-year-old going through his emotions and hormones and everything else. Because, I mean, if you've had kids, middle schoolers are they're the toughest, at least in our experience, the toughest to raise. So that's not what we have here. We have a grown man in Doug Gottlieb. He is who he is at this point. To expect change at this point is a big, big ask and probably not very realistic. Can people change? Yes. Right? So Charlie Usen right now. How old are you? 20 what?
24.
24. So in 10 years, Charlie Usen is not going to be the same way he is right now. Guaranteed, no chance. He's going to change. His views on things are going to change. His food likes and dislikes probably are going to change some as well. His view on how he looks at sports, probably by that time, he'll become more negative like me, not so happy about everything. So that'll probably change. If he works with me for 10 years, I guarantee you that's changing. But all that's going to change. Doug Gottlieb in 10 years will probably change a little bit as well. But when you talk about emotional control and how you act, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't know if that necessarily changes all of that much. I got another one here from the 262. This is today's world. You apologize. I agree. This is today's world. 1,000%. That is exactly what's happening. And again, we haven't seen any suspension come across yet that Charlie looked for.
One game suspension.
One game suspension, right. So maybe this is part of the deal, right? You apologize and get your game. You don't want to apologize. Maybe it's a game and a fine, whatever the case may be. Maybe that's part of the deal. One game suspension is nonsense. Absolute complete nonsense. Dale in Whitewater, you're next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up?
Hey guys. So about Doug. Doug was a great guy, but I think he was a really good guy, but that's how I'm saying. But yeah.
He's a really great guy. Thanks. Charlie, did you talk to that guy before you put him on the air?
Yeah. He said
did he say more than that?
He did say more than that. Maybe got a little nervous on there.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Yeah. Figure your stuff out before you call, please. 920 Horizon League should thank Doug for the free PR. UW Green Bay should thank Doug for making UW Green Bay basketball matter again. The apology is dumb. The suspension is dumb. Doug deserves to be awarded, not punished, from the 920. There's lots to take in and unpack, as they would say, in those two text messages from the 920. First of all, yes, Doug Gottlieb is definitely bringing spotlight to the Horizon League, for sure. Now, last year wasn't good, right? Last year was a lot of negativity and so forth that went along with it. But last year, the flames were fanned by stuff that he would say on his radio show. And then if he was critical of somebody would just chime back with how bad the Green Bay Phoenix are and use that as a weapon against Gottlieb. Well, Gottlieb is no longer doing the radio show, so now you don't have that. Gottlieb's team all of a sudden now is above 500 and legitimately should be in second place right now in the Horizon League, probably. But they're not. They're battling it out for third. Is Doug Gottlieb good for the Horizon League? Yeah, he is. Why? Because people know who he is. Because, again, he's on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Why? Because he's entertaining. Not only talking about Green Bay basketball, but talking about other things, right? I mean, again, with all due respect to UW Green Bay, in my career of talking to UW Green Bay head coaches, Todd Kowalczyk, talked to him numerous times. But that's only because I had a relationship with Todd Kowalczyk from when he was an assistant at Marquette. And I like Todd. So that's why I would talk to Todd Kowalczyk. And then obviously Dick Bennett. For years, everybody loves Dick Bennett, so you would talk to Dick Bennett. But outside of that, there normally wasn't a lot of conversation about UW Green Bay. Now, if you take it to the other Horizon League team in the state of Wisconsin, and now you go to UW Milwaukee, you can talk about whoever you want to talk about. But Bo Ryan helped to start to put that thing on the map to a degree, right? Bruce Pearl took it to the next level. Why? Because he is an entertainer. He got the crowd involved. He got the students involved. He got everybody involved. And they became a tournament team and made noise in the tournament. He was good for the Horizon League. I don't care what the past said about him and any trouble he got in or whatever. None of that mattered. When he was there, he was good for that school. You had Rob Jeter, more quiet, not really as boisterous and out there and so forth. And it wasn't as big of a deal. Got along with Rob Jeter fine. Got no issues with Rob Jeter, but I'm just saying it wasn't that. Now they've got Bart Lundy. And Bart Lundy is really good at doing interviews and hyping up and so forth. For sure. And they've been winning pretty much since he's gone there. Maybe a little bit of a down year this year, but for the most part, they've done pretty well with Bart Lundy. But that's still not at the level of name-wise, recognition-wise of Doug Gottlieb. And there is something to having star power in your programs. If you look at the Big East and who the head coaches are there, or the ACC or whatever, or the SEC in college football, right? You just see names and lineages and so forth. Now, some of these guys are starting to retire like Saban and so forth and getting out, but that is what brings recognition to a conference. If Rick Pitino's in your conference, that's going to help bring recognition. If John Calipari is in your conference, that's going to help bring recognition to your conference. No, Doug Gottlieb is not either of those guys and doesn't have a winning record like that. But from a popularity standpoint and people knowing who he is and respecting what he did in his college career and all that other stuff, yes, that is a positive. That is why Green Bay hired him. I promise you. They hired Doug Gottlieb because he was a name that could get everybody worked up and doing his thing. If you hear him talking on that morning show, he talks about, I got this going on tonight. I got drinks with this donor, and then I got to go meet this booster, and then I got this going on with this kid, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's constant. It's 24/7. And Bart Lundy's doing the same thing in Milwaukee, and all of these guys are. But again, a little bit different when I get to rub elbows with Doug Gottlieb and he can tell me stories from when he was at ESPN, or he can tell me stories when he was an analyst doing college basketball games, or tell me stories from back when he was in college. Like, that's something to these guys.
Well,
and we're apologizing because he swore at a press conference.
Well, and he just knows how to bring that publicity to the school and give them that kind of limelight, whether it's good or bad. And you have moments like this that do look bad on the surface, but also you know why he's doing it. You know it's frustration. That's just kind of who he is. Last year, when they wanted to play in that the tournament, the big tournament that they do each year, where they have all the other like alumni of teams, schools come and play to win the tournament. Yep, he wanted to play in that, and they wouldn't let him play in that. So he made a whole video with his team standing behind him, like professionally made, talking about it. He knows what he's doing.
Now, listen here. Now, this is another good example that I can correlate with somebody else right now, right? So his argument was, dude, they're not going to count. It'd be a good experience for my team. I don't care if we win it, you don't give me the money, whatever. I just want to get some run with my guys, get some extra games in, right?
And that gets young players to say, hey, Doug Gottlieb cares about his players. Doug Gottlieb wants to make sure he's getting the best out of his players.
It's great experience, right? You're playing against older guys and so forth.
And even
if you
again,
get hammered, who cares?
Even if you don't play in it, even if they don't let you play, it's still, you have this video out there that players are going to look to and say, hey, that's the type of coach that wants to get the best out of me. I'm not getting the types of looks that I thought maybe I would get coming out of high school. That's a place I can go to and get to where I want to be.
Correct. And he brought people talking about Green Bay basketball, right? Now look at Deion Sanders. This is the second year now. Deion is lobbying against the NCAA because he wants to do an inter-squad scrimmage like the NFL does. He wants to do it at the college level. And again, they told him no again this year. But he's just continuing it to run up that flagpole. And you know what happens? People are talking about Colorado. People are talking about Deion and so forth. Mark my words. Eventually, he's going to get it across the finish line. And when he does, that's all people are going to be talking about is Deion Sanders getting it, and it's going to change college football because he's right. They should be allowed to do that, but that's what he's doing, and he's keeping Colorado out in front because his recruiting classes haven't done anything. His portal stuff hasn't done anything with Deion this year. Nobody's talking about Colorado, and now he's in the news for this.
Well, and the big thing about that is that's something that I think any coach could have brought up, and it would probably get changed. We did inter-squad scrimmages at the D3 level, so they don't care about it at the lower levels. It's when you get to the higher levels, when money and stuff like that starts to get involved, that's when they start caring about that. I think any coach could have brought this to surface and started that discussion and gotten it changed. But Deion Sanders knows that if he's the one doing it, that it means a lot more to a lot of people reporting about it and all the people talking about it. It's a difference. He knows he's that game changer type of name, and he's going to use that to his benefit.
And when you're a celebrity at that point, you know how much weight you can carry. You can take calculated gambles knowing that you'll be able to overcome it because of who you are. Knowing that, okay, I know they're going to say no, but this is going to bring some publicity to my program or whatever the case may be. And it's worth it at the end of the day. This scenario here where he's swearing in a press conference, Doug Gottlieb, again, should not have been suspended a game, should not have to come out and apologize. We've seen this over and over my entire life. People getting mad at referees, coaches getting mad at referees and everything else. And I understand the day and time we live in and all of that, and you'll have to figure it out. But it's just very frustrating. All right, take a quick time out. That was not supposed to be a Gottlieb segment, but we had so many text messages in the break. I was like, oh my God, we kind of got to have to continue to do this. Coming up next, we're going to talk more about the Packers. Who do you blame more for the Packers special teams issues the last several years? Is it on the coaches, or is it on the players, or is it on the GM for not giving them enough talent on the special teams unit? Coaches, players, or GM, where do you put the blame for the special teams issues we've had after now Rich Bisaccia steps down yesterday? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, streaming live on the YouTube and on X at WI Sports Radio. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fifer with you. I hope you all are well. On Wednesday, I was just told in the break that apparently it's really windy outside in certain parts of the state. Does the wind bother you? Is that a big thing when it's super windy out? Does that annoy you, Charlie, when it's super windy out?
No, I usually kind of like that. Have the windows open, let the breeze come in.
I hate it. Like if I'm at a baseball game watching my kid's baseball game or whatever, and I've got like 20-mile-an-hour winds while I'm outside trying to watch the game, I just cannot stand it. I think I'd rather have a light drizzle on me than having it wind blowing in my face the entire game.
I like a nice breeze. Yeah, even if it is strong winds.
I'm not there. Okay, who do you blame more for the Packers special teams issues, coaches or players? Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials at WI Sports Radio. Rich Bisaccia steps away from his special teams coordinator role and assistant head coach's role yesterday. We'll have Dan Whelan, Packers punter, coming up at 4 o'clock during our Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I had a chance to talk to him earlier today. He's on a tour in Ireland and the UK. People are touring or going around to the different pubs to meet Dan Whelan and get his autograph and pictures and all that fun stuff. So we had a chance to talk to him earlier. So we'll play that back for you. We get into Rich Bisaccia being let go. We get into his background and how he got to the Packers. And it was a fun interview. So stay tuned for that coming up at 4 o'clock. But who do you blame more for the Packers special teams issues? Coaches, players, or the general manager of this football team? 414-677-1250. Earlier when we were talking about Rich Bisaccia, Deer Tracks Basketball on the YouTube dugout chat said this about the special teams unit, Charlie.
That's actually in the X dugout chat.
Oh, sorry, it's an X. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Special teams is like rebounding in basketball. It's a lot of want to and effort more than scheme.
You agree or disagree?
I agree to some level, I guess. And Mason Crosby talks about this all the time. He's the one that was saying this earlier on the year on the station. He was bringing this up. That's all that. I think there's scheme to it too. I think, yes, there's want to. And I think especially with the Packers group, when you have so many starters in those units, it's hard to get a lot of want to out of those players. So you need these special team level caliber guys that are going to come in trying to make a name for themselves to get on the main units. In these units, like I said, they had a lot of players that were just injured in that group or needing to play actual starting minutes. They were getting bumped up like they needed to and like they want to. And I think a lot of that changes what these special teams players their want to do that. At the same time, I think you do need to be coached and that there are skills to slowing down or speeding up, running through a block or slowing down and eating a guy trying to run through you on the other side of things. There's skill to that I think a lot of people don't recognize. And when you, I guess, in my mind, Rich Bisaccia are so focused on being a leader of men and getting the mentality right, you lack working on those small technique things that a lot of people don't think about, but a special teams coordinator for one of the most storied franchises in NFL history should be thinking about.
Isn't the other part of this, you don't get nearly as much time with these guys as the other units do? I mean, you get a practice right, but it's not as much practice time as offense gets with their units and as defense gets with their units.
No, but
and that's for all teams. That's not just the Packers or just the Badgers. Like that's all football across the board.
In my experience, though, you're practicing 4 days a week for the most part. One of those days is a walkthrough day where you do spend 20 to 30 minutes of your practice doing the walkthrough stuff for special teams. But the other special teams periods are going through the units. The offensive linemen are usually off with the field goal block and you're working on the technique. You're doing the small things. All the other skill players, the defensive skill players are working on the technique of those special teams units that they are specifically on. So yes, you don't get a lot of time, but usually that's the focus of those units. Then you have a plan day to day, which I'm sure Rich Bisaccia had, but again, it just didn't seem like the Packers, especially Matt LaFleur, maybe cared about it as much.
Who do you blame more for the Packers special teams issue? Coaches, players, or the general manager? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. Jeff in Greendale, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, good afternoon, Sparky. Good to talk to you.
You bet.
Hey, I'm going to lean GM because you can only do what you can do, what's dealt to you. And what's dealt to you is the GM and the coach, too, puts the final cuts. Okay, here you go. I might have a say in it, who I want, but I can only work with what's dealt to me.
Yep.
But the other parts have a hand in it, too. So, okay, this is what you're dealt with. Make it work. So you got to try to make it work. And then obviously the players, they don't do what they're supposed to, mess things up. So they all have a hand in it. But I will start with the GM and the GM coach, however they pick players. It starts there, though, to me. It just really does. Now, I'm glad he stepped down in a sense of I can't imagine how this would have been if he would have kept going through the season, get at the start of the season, get 4 games in, and they're still horrible. I mean, I'm glad we're not at that point. So from that standpoint, I'm glad he's gone. And I kind of give it to you, Charlie. I'm sorry. Well, Charlie is going to be in this. But I look at it for you, Sparky, is if people don't understand why, think of it this way. If I'm not a producer, I don't know anything about radio over there. Charlie leaves to get $100,000 a year salary. He's gone. I go apply, and the guy that's owner there loves me, but I know nothing. I've been interviewed on your station before, and I've called in. That's my experience. He's like, great, I love you. Now you are sitting there going, who the heck are you that knows nothing? What am I supposed to do? Owner tells Sparky, you got to figure it out, teach him. You teach me, but I still mess up. Who's it come down to? To me, would be the owner.
Correct.
Because, that's how I look at it. That's just my example of using your field.
And to go back to what you said, that happens in radio. So there you go, Jeff. Thanks for the call. That happens. So this is the thing. I think, from my perspective, that to play special teams, to be good at special teams, to potentially be a Pro Bowler of a special teams unit, you kind of got to be nuts, right? I mean, to play the coverage units, to be a gunner or whatever, you kind of got to be nuts. Back in the day, a wedge breaker on kickoffs, you kind of got to be nuts because it is collisions and fighting and scrapping and all of that. That's all you do. And if you're just that, which now we're getting to that point where the Packers seemingly have some of those guys, they can't keep them healthy, but they seemingly have had some of those guys. There is a different mindset to it. And that's why I think sometimes when you tell these starters, okay, you want to go play special teams, they don't want to go play special teams. They got no interest. So then what happens? You get I just don't want to embarrass myself and just do good enough because I'm out here. I don't want to get my punter killed if I'm on the offensive line. Or I don't want to be responsible for blocking a back that costs us a big return, or just don't have anybody looking at me at the end of the day if I cost us a big play. So you go out there to do it. But what you need is, I don't know, 3 to 5 guys that love it, that want to do it, that get the thrill of the big hit on coverage units or busting dudes up. That's kind of really what you want. And that is I don't think that's an effort thing. I think that's a mentality thing. Like mentally, you have to be in on it. And those guys, in my opinion, are hard to find, man. Especially as we get farther away from the old days. In the old days, you had a lot of guys that were nuts, that were willing to do whatever. Didn't care if they were bleeding from the nose or the head or whatever. They just loved it. They loved the violence of it. I don't know necessarily now if you have a lot of that just love the big hits and love the crashes and everything that comes along with it. I mean, if you go back to your high school team and I go, okay, man, at Brookfield Central, how many guys were kind of on edge and crazy that just love the big collisions and love laying people out and love that? How many were there on that team?
Jed Kennedy was the head coach for 3 years, so a majority of our best players were psychopaths, yeah.
And that is coach. Right. I mean, those of us that know Jed, he demands you to be kind of psycho in order to play for Jed to a certain degree. Now you get to Elmhurst College where you play college football. What does it look like there?
It definitely limits down a little bit. You have a lot of guys trying to make a name for themselves, but don't really know what they're getting themselves into at the college level. So they do get worried in those situations. It's a lot of players that kind of know who they are already at that point, that have that mentality. I think at that point going into college, you should have it already. And I think there was probably 10 guys maybe that were at that level. Yeah.
The other part about this, I think, is if you're a good offensive lineman, you're a guard, let's say, and people aren't talking about you, that's a positive. That's good. That's what we want. If you're an impact special teams player, people probably are going to be talking about you for making big hits, big plays, right? They're going to talk about you. If you're an exceptional punt returner or kick returner, nowadays, you can get paid. Nowadays, that by itself will get you into the Hall of Fame. Devin Hester. I mean, that will get you there if you're exceptional at what you do. And in fact, you don't even have to look that far back necessarily. The Packers had Allen Rossum. He was good. He was a good returner, right? Before that, Desmond Howard was Super Bowl MVP. That was special teams. That when that dude was in college, yes, there were special teams to it. Charles Woodson, when he was in college, yes, there was that special teams element to it. But Desmond Howard's role in the National Football League was never going to be superstar wide receiver. Desmond Howard's role in the NFL was going to be based on punt returns and being special in that area. The Packers saw that, picked him up, because again, he was released. Wasn't like anybody was signing him to a big contract. Picked him up, put him into a role where they thought they could make it work with a good special teams coordinator. And away they went. It worked, and it helped win him a Super Bowl. Again, that year they won the Super Bowl with Leroy and Brett Favre and Gilbert Brown. They were one in offense, one in defense, and one in special teams. That does not happen in the National Football League where you are one in every single category, and that's what they were that year. So I know a lot of people in front offices be like, special teams, we're fine. As long as we're like middle of the pack, we'll be good enough. Yeah, but if you're really good, that's a huge game changer for the organization.
Well, and I think I would argue with you a little bit that we don't
have to argue.
It's not nowadays. I think nowadays, if you're a really good special teams player, front offices, coaching staffs do their best job trying to get you into an actual unit, into offense, into defense. If you're a great kick returner, they try to get you in on offense and they try to figure out how to use you as a weapon on offense. If you're really great at tackling and you're a sure tackler, they're going to find you a spot at middle linebacker and rotate you in on that defense. And then now you're getting focused on that. And then maybe that doesn't work out. And then now you're going back to saying, well, I need to be a punt returner. I need to be a guy who can be a sure tackler on the coverage units. But you don't have that same kind of mentality now because you played 2 years at a wide receiver position because they thought you could play wide receiver, or you played 2 years at a linebacker position and they thought you could play linebacker. So now you have this mentality that you can be those things. So now you don't have that kind of same aggressive mindset that you're full on special teams. Teams nowadays don't let special teams guys be special teams guys anymore. They want you to be more if they think you can be more. And if that doesn't work out, then I feel like you're a little bit jumbled up as a player and that can mess you up.
Brett on the YouTube dugout chat over there brings up a great name. Look at how well-known Steve Tasker was on those 90s Bills teams. Again, another Hall of Fame type player only because of special teams. I mean, you literally now, if you're the next special teams coordinator after Rich Bisaccia, you'll be like, dude, you can take this avenue and get yourself right to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If you are the best of the best, you could go be that guy. You don't have to be Christian Watson. You don't have to be Jordan Love. You don't have to be Micah Parsons or Xavier McKinney. You can find your niche, your role on special teams, be dominant, and be a Hall of Famer with everybody else.
But how do you tell Brian Gutekunst that? How do you tell him, hey, we need a roster spot for this guy that I think can be a really great special teams player?
Again, going back to Gutekunst, he says that since Bisaccia got there,
they say a lot of
gone
things
about trying to get players for Bisaccia through the draft. Now, he's not drafting guys in the second round for Bisaccia, but maybe he's getting a sixth rounder for Bisaccia, a seventh rounder for Bisaccia, a guy that he likes off the street as a street free agent after the draft.
But then they find their ways onto defense more often. They find their ways onto offense a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want.
And when they get hurt,
right.
That
but
also comes
Zane Anderson last season,
a safety.
That was something where he's found his way into that safety group even after guys started coming back from their injuries. This is something where, again, Brian Gutekunst says that, but it's only for a short period of time. He's not willing to commit 5+ years to letting that guy just be a special teams player.
Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Scotty, Tiffany on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Both the players and the coaches are responsible. The players, because, well, McManus needs to be consistent. The coaches, because there is no clear returner. But isn't that the GM? Because there's no clear returner? Isn't that on the GM? I don't know if that's on the coaches. That's on the GM. We've been, seriously, I can't tell you how many years we've wanted a 5'9" guy that runs like a 4.2 to just go back there and return kicks. He doesn't have to play corner. He doesn't have to play wide receiver. I just want him to be great at it. And that's why, going back to the first segment of the show, when we talked about this whole deal with Bisaccia, and are they any better today than they were yesterday? And pretty much everybody said, no, they're not. It wasn't his fault. There's other things in play here and so forth. And when we were talking about, okay, so who's out there, what's out there, I brought up, give me a college coordinator, special teams coordinator that's really, really good, one of the tops in college. Bring him in and let him be involved in the draft process or after the draft is done, and let him tell you who he thinks is really good of what's out there of teams that he's played against or he's watched tape on from when he was in college for the last several years. That, I think, is the way to go versus some retread that's been in the NFL forever and has never really probably had much say in most of the teams because most teams don't care. I mean, that's kind of part of it. The other thing is Mason Crosby said, hey, I'll do it. Why don't you just talk to him? Why don't you just talk to him?
Just ask.
Just go to, just talk to him. Like, okay, hear me out. You can bring Mason in with every intention of telling Mason, no, you're not doing it. Sit him down and go, okay, man, I heard you on the radio. You want to do this? Cool. Sell me on it. What's your plan? What's your vision? And tell me how this is all going to work. Who's going to be your assistant special teams coordinator? What needs to happen? What needs to be done? If you're serious, then tell me your plan. Let me hear what it is. And then again, when it's all said and done, if Goody's like, yep, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's what I thought. And you move on. But who knows? If Mason surprises you and you're like, damn, he really does have a plan. And damn, this makes a lot of sense. And this would make good sense. And he loves Green Bay and he's a longtime Packer. And yeah, let's give it a run. Let's see what happens. Maybe he surprises you. I don't like shutting the door on people that have a passion to want to do something. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you at least talk to them if they have a passion.
Well, again, especially a guy that still has that love for the franchise, and you guys still obviously have that love for him back. Give him a shot. Why not?
Here's one. You guys remember Amari Rodgers, JB in the 920? Yeah, never a fan. Was never a big Amari Rodgers guy.
No. Well, and I guess to your point, like kind of with Amari Rodgers too, at least he was on the roster. You can use him in that spot. I think I look at the end of the season for this Green Bay Packers team and the return position specifically. You talked about how it's the front office that is kind of more to blame for that, for not bringing those guys in. But Emmanuel Wilson looked pretty good in that return position at the end of the year. Bo Melton is there on the roster, but again, they're trying to force these guys into other positions. You have that spot there. You have guys that could maybe fight for that spot on your roster. Why are the coaches not trying those guys more often? When you see them have an explosive play, leave him out there and let him do that. See what happens. Bo Melton didn't touch the field as a cornerback this season. I said that was going to happen. It was a waste of time. This was something where you could have used him in a return role instead of messing him around at wide receiver and cornerback all year long.
Yeah. And only Matt LaFleur can answer that question. Mm-hmm. I don't have the answers to that. I think those are all good questions and all good points that should be asked of Matt LaFleur at some point. Can you feel it? The thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a buzzer-beating three? You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. The Potawatomi Sportsbook, baby. Catch all the action in Supreme Space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall. 2,000 square feet, 30 sporting events at one time. No better place to watch all this great college basketball that's coming your way. Ain't no better place to go do it. Reserve your seat now and make sure you have a seat to watch all these fun games coming up next month. All you got to do is go to Potawatomi.com to reserve a seat. There's a fee that goes along with it, but it goes towards your food and beverage. So you're going to spend that money anyhow. And this way, you know you got a great seat. You can hang out, watch the games, and have a lot of fun with you and your friends. 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, great Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, full menu, homemade desserts and pastries. I promise you, you are going to have an absolute blast only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. The 11-year-old story, the Philadelphia Phillies, from the parents' aspect, we are going to do it. Everything got screwed up because I did an extra segment on Doug Gottlieb at 3 o'clock. We'll move that to 4:20. We'll get into it at 4:20. We'll talk about this amazing story about this 11-year-old and the Phillies coming up at 4:20. Next up, Charlie Sounds of the Day. New bumper music coming on Monday, but you have to get in your suggestions now. We're taking suggestions today only from 2 until 5. So if you want a group that you want to put into the bumper music rotation, if you want a different song, a certain song you want into the rotation, we're taking your suggestions until 5 o'clock. And then the goal is on Monday to debut the new set of music. Nikolai Law Talk text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Do not call Charlie. We want text messages, or you can leave the messages in the YouTube or X dugout chat there as well. He can write them down. He's got this whole Excel spreadsheet all created, popping in songs and artists as people are texting them in throughout the show. So if you want to have a say in the music that you listen to on this show, Monday through Friday from 2 to 5, here is your opportunity. Do not miss it. I don't know the next time we'll change it out, but there's an opportunity right now for you.
Probably known Sparky like 100 years.
All right, time sounds of the day. Where to first, Charlie?
First up, we're going to head on over to UCLA versus Michigan State, where UCLA was getting blown out at the end of the second half there by Michigan State, and one of their players did this, which resulted in Mick Cronin having this exchange with a reporter after the game.
Enjoy their time here. It's a change in destination. Playing football and a foul. Cooper's fouled from behind, and now Cooper is up and in Jamerson's face. And remember, this is a different kind of return for Stephen Jamerson II. Mick Cronin is pointing to the tunnel for him to get off the floor and get out of the game. Cronin just kicked him out.
What was your thought from the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the?
You really think I care about the other?
No, I don't.
team's
I don't
student
think you care about the
section?
other.
Are you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you were. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
I see. There are moments like that where I'm glad I don't go to these things anymore, because I promise
you would be dragged out of it.
I'm promising you right now, if he said that to me, I would have been like, you want to hear me raise my voice, coach? I'll show you how loud I can get. And then they would have had to separate me and Cronin. I would have had my credential yanked and it would have been over. But you ain't talking to me like I'm your son at any moment in time. You're pissed because your team sucks and you got your butt kicked again and you're going to get on me. Mm-hmm. He was laughing at Cronin like, you're seriously this mad about this? And then you're going to talk down to the reporter? No, well, there's no chance.
Like we're talking about Doug Gottlieb not needing to give an apology. This is something worth giving an apology for. Like, that's just rude. Why are you being so mean to him about that? And yeah,
because he's mad that his team stinks.
And yeah, I think that's a question that he probably isn't happy here, because he probably did hear the Michigan State student section all night. He probably didn't listen to them chant his player's name all night. He was probably annoyed by that. So yeah, he can be upset about that. That's not the reporter's fault. Like, don't blame him for that. And then again, just to act like this, don't you immediately feel bad afterwards? You're trying to get him to be embarrassed by the cameras being around, all the other people being around. Shouldn't you be embarrassed? Like, how do you not walk out of the stadium after that game, get on your team bus and say, wow, I messed up?
See,
like, that's crazy.
This is the other thing. I'm going to go break right back to Doug Gottlieb again.
Mm-hmm.
Gottlieb, when he went off in that presser and swore and all that, at the end of the presser,
said,
apologized.
Sorry.
Like, hey, man, sorry for that outburst earlier, but I was hot, whatever. He literally calmed down by the end of it. If Cronin apologized to that guy, there's no audio of it. I've not seen anybody tweet that this guy got apologized to. It was completely out of bounds. Now, you kicking your own player out, I thought that was funny. I've never seen a coach do that before. That was a first for me. So you do what you do. But you could definitely see that he is coming apart at the seams. Because, again, through majority of Mick Cronin's time as a coach, whether it be at Cincinnati, here, wherever, he's won. And this, I'm sure, is eating him alive at this point. But it is what it is, and he's not handling it well. All right, what's next?
Next up, we're going to head on over to Cleveland Guardians spring training, where GM Mike Chernoff was saying that they just cannot compete. This is courtesy of foul territory.
I mean, look, we are a young team. We're one of the youngest teams in baseball. We have been for years. We have to do things differently. We're a small market, and in today's economic environment in baseball, we can't go out and sign top-tier free agents. It's just impossible with the economic landscape. So we have to do it through scouting and development. And a huge part of that, as you guys all know from your playing careers, is your off season. You have to find a way to raise the floor in your off season, right? How do you keep building? How do you, whether it's the physical profile, the bat speed, the velocity, the command, whatever it is, how do you build those things in the off season and really push the envelope on what you can do? So we try to provide as many programs as we can for our guys. And thankfully, we have a culture where guys buy into that and they love being out here together.
I think every small market's in that same boat, right? I mean, Milwaukee can't afford to sign anybody of significance. They can't go sign Tarek Skubal to a free agent contract next offseason at $40 million a year or whatever the heck the number is going to be. They can't go sign Soto to a contract. They can't even afford Corbin Burns or Freddie Peralta, for God's sakes. So, yeah, there has to be a mentality like that of how you're going to build this at the end of the day moving forward. Do you see the comments from the Brewers owner yesterday talking about Bud Selig called him, asking about the Caleb Durbin deal? Mm-hmm. I just shook my head. I was like, of course he called you. I mean, that's great. Bud loves the Brewers. Always loved the Brewers. They're not a bigger Brewers fan alive than Bud Selig. But that tells you, like, there is definitely some want and care. And Essenasi, you make the point, like, we got guys with a lot of high ceiling, like big ceilings here. And Durbin's ceiling probably isn't as high as some of these guys that are coming. So long term, he wasn't going to be on this team regardless. Once Made gets here, once Fisher gets here. Now, he didn't call them by name, but I mean, eventually he was going to be gone anyhow. But again, that just, again, goes back to some of the conversations that you have when you make difficult decisions and you make trades like this or let guys go and replace them with somebody else. All right, what's your last one?
And last up here, speaking of the Milwaukee Brewers, Pat Murphy had this awesome locker room speech that the Milwaukee Brewers put out earlier today. I think it's worth the listen and definitely gets you hyped for the upcoming season.
Call us whatever you want, underdog. Call us whatever the hell you want. We found out what matters is who's in this room. What we got in this room, we can do anything we want. We're about people. We're about teams. Wherever you're from, whatever color you are, whatever you believe in, as long as you want to commit to winning baseball. Not Major League Baseball's way of saying, on paper, this team is this. We don't care. This is who we want to become. We got to pitch. We got to make strong. We got to defend, play offense. That's how we do it. And we don't worry about what anybody thinks. We stick to our standards, and you'll have another incredible season. And don't be shocked.
So who put that together?
The Brewers.
Next time you do that, put the music lower. Music was a little too loud, if we're being honest. Like, I was struggling to hear Murphy. I was like, damn, this music is loud in my ear right now. But yeah, that's cool, man. The more hype videos, the better. I think the Brewers have done really, really good on social media the last couple of years. They've really upped their social media game, I think, for the most part. I see Brett over there again chiming in about, I remember back in the day when Cleveland had some of the biggest names in baseball. Understand, if you're talking about Baerga and Bell and Jefferson, Sorrento, and those guys came from their farm system. They came up and then they were gone. But they got on that run to a potential World Series and all of that because they developed those guys in their farm system. That was a big reason of how Cleveland was able to get to that point, I guess, if that's the era you're talking about. If you're talking about a different era, let me know.
Do you like the new slogan, the "Don't Be Shocked"? I think that's his thing now, not instead of the "Undaunted," because he moves on from it every year. Don't be shocked.
That's his new line.
I think so. That's what he ended it with, and that's what the Brewers tagged the video with.
Okay. So Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Hot Stove Weekly. Tim Allen, Tommy Wirtz, not tonight because in Milwaukee we have college basketball. So it's tomorrow night from 5 until 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, Hot Stove Weekly this week and next week. And the Brewers are working on getting some guests for us as well. So that'll be fun. Again, tomorrow night, Hot Stove Weekly, Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz. Up next, Packers punter Dan Whelan joins the show on a Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Talked to him a little bit earlier today. Talks about coming up to get to the Packers and his thoughts on Rich Bisaccia being let go. Straight ahead. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Thanks for listening around the state of Wisconsin, whether it be on the Game in Wausau or Duluth Superior, on WNFL in Green Bay, or the Fan in Milwaukee, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan there. Appreciate you tuning in. Time for our Green and Gold update, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Joining us now, he is Packers punter Daniel Whelan on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Daniel, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I want to get into what you got coming up, because the Packers sent out this press release that you're going to be going back and visiting Ireland and the UK and doing a special visit there coming up in a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on, because when you left, you were what, like 13 years old and went to Palm Springs and came over here to the U.S. and now going back as a star punter. That's got to be something.
Yeah, it's definitely a surreal feeling. I mean, leaving here, I didn't really have much clue of NFL football or anything. And like now coming back 13 years later, actually like playing in the NFL, being like a punter in the NFL is pretty surreal for me. So it's been a great time so far.
I want to go back to the beginning, if you don't mind, as you leave there and you come over here. And I've talked about this before, I've been doing this a long time because I'm an old guy. And a lot of times you talk to professional athletes and the careers that they pick aren't even their favorite sports. Like I've talked to so many NBA players whose favorite sport was soccer, but they're like 6'10" and they couldn't play soccer. For you, growing up, you played soccer. Is that your favorite sport, or did it become football over time?
Soccer was definitely my favorite sport. I definitely wanted to be like a pro soccer player. I was pretty tall and skinny, so I kind of fit the role for that. But then when I was about 16, 17, I started kicking field goals and punting, and then kind of started falling in love with that. Like the more progression I got, I just started loving football even more.
So who's your team then? Do you still follow it?
Oh yeah, Newcastle United.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going to get tickets for the World Cup when it comes?
Yeah, and hopefully Ireland actually qualifies. I think they play in March, I believe. So I think if they win that, they'll be in the World Cup.
Well, I have no faith in the U.S. As of late, so I'm not gonna count my chickens on the U.S. to actually qualify. But they actually get automatic qualification because they're one of the home countries, so they'll get to play regardless. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on the XFL experience that you had, because you come over here and I was watching an interview and you took the UC Davis offer out of high school, the very first offer that you got. How many other offers did you get? Did you get bigger schools? Did you ever regret taking it after like UCLA or if somebody else came calling?
I actually didn't get that many like offers, really. UC Davis was kind of the one and only full ride scholarship, thanks to Dan Hawkins. But yeah, I kind of fell in love with UC Davis when I went up for an official visit. It was similar to what I was living in Ireland, like small town, small little college area. So it was perfect for me.
So now you get there, you do the college thing, and then obviously the draft comes and goes. You don't get drafted. And then you go as an undrafted free agent and sign with the Saints later.
Yep.
But then you don't get to realize your dream because you're released a day before training camp starts?
Yeah. So I did all the media, OTAs, and then camp is literally about to start. And I'm on a plane home in an hour. So, yeah.
I can't even imagine the crushing thing that is. What was the reasoning? What was the reasoning that they had? Like, did you see it coming at any point?
No, I thought I'd get at least a couple of preseason games, some film, and yeah, they said I wasn't consistent enough, need to get better at holding. So yeah, I kind of took it to heart and just started going on like the grind, as they say, to just get better.
Did you get a personal coach that you started working with at that point to try and get you better? Because I know you've had a personal coach here as of late.
Yeah. Well, in high school, college, Aaron Perez and Sailor were kind of my go-to for punting. But now I go to like San Diego, where Nick Novak and John Carney are, who are veterans of the game. So just picking their brains when I was at that stage in my life kind of helped me grow and understand football, how to get better punting with other people. And get better at holding for kickers.
Time with Packers punter Daniel Whelan. He is visiting Ireland and the UK and going back home and being a rock star punter after growing up and living there till age 13. Very cool deal there. I also want to get your thoughts on the XFL experience because that obviously set you off to get the opportunity in Green Bay because you were an all XFL punter. Talk about that experience in the XFL.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed my time in the XFL. I thought it was a great experience, learning experience. I mean, I got to meet a bunch of new people that are like now my close friends. I mean, the coaches were all great. The experience was so fun. I mean, I don't have enough words to say how great it was for me, but I got good film and I punted pretty well enough to get signed by the Packers soon after the season. So yeah, it was a great time.
What did you improve on maybe the most in that XFL experience from where you were in college when the Saints sent you home?
Yeah. Well, I'd say my confidence. I'd say confidence was a big thing for me after getting cut. You're down in the dumps. You don't know what's going to happen next. And then you start actually living up to your potential and you play well and you're like, okay, maybe I can do this. And then I kind of just kept rolling with what I was doing and it worked out for me.
Daniel, the other part about this is obviously you get to Green Bay and it wasn't like they signed you and said, here's the job. You had to go up against a veteran in Pat O'Donnell. Talk about that experience and how that worked in that competition between you and the vet.
Yeah. I mean, coming straight from one season, trying to start another one, it was pretty tiring, I'd say. But I mean, Pat, what a man he is. He definitely helped me learn more about football, punting, holding. He's a phenomenal person. I mean, he was so kind to me and just teaching me the ways of the NFL. So yeah. And then obviously Rich and Byron were definitely helpful for me in getting better. And I mean, it was tough at first, but I mean, you just got to keep going.
I don't think people really understand, man, how it is when you're in the NFL and let's say the team drafts a running back and you are a running back. Right away, you're like, okay, they drafted somebody that they're going to try and replace me with. Or in your case, they sign a punter out of the XFL. And it takes, in my opinion, at least, a special person to try and help out his competition get better that eventually, essentially cost him his job.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the job. I mean, everybody drafts a quarterback every year, but there's always a quarterback on the roster. And I mean, you practice with them every day. You're in meetings with them every day. So you kind of just try and show them the ropes. And then, yeah, it just happens.
It's pretty crazy. In 2025, you reached the top of the Packer record books. Single season records for both grass, 51.7 yards per punt, and net, 43.9 punting average. Gross average ranked number 1 in the NFL. It marked the first time in Green Bay that the punter has led the league in the category since the 1970 NFL-AFL merger. And your special teams coach through all of this was Rich Bisaccia, who I will say shockingly, because I don't think anybody saw it coming, steps away last night from the special teams coordinator and associate head coach role. Did you have any idea that this potentially could be coming?
No. I found out when everybody else did.
Have you talked to Rich since then? Texted Rich, anything like that?
Yeah, I've been in contact with him. We talked.
So this is my first question, Daniel Whelan, on this, because obviously I've not talked to him. Is health good? Is he fine and everything else? Because when you see that, and again, he's not a young man like you are, I immediately think, oh man, I hope his health is okay. I hope he's fine health-wise, and that doesn't have something to do with him stepping away. Is he, from a health standpoint, is he good?
Yes, he's great.
So that's good.
I think it was just a personal decision, and I respect it.
Well, which is awesome. Talk about how important he was to you in your time as a punter and some of the key things that you took away from your experience with Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great human, first of all. I mean, he definitely taught me the ropes about punting and special teams and the importance of every moment you get when you're out there on the field. So, I mean, his leadership and player development, I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. I mean, he definitely helped me be the best punter I can be. And yeah, I'll definitely be in contact with him throughout my career. So, I mean, yeah, I'm super happy I got to be under him, and he could coach me to be the best person I can be.
What about the idea of, they've always said about Rich Bisaccia, a great leader of men, and obviously he's associate head coach, not just the special teams coordinator. How much of an impact have you seen him had on, other positions, other groups on that team as far as his leadership goes?
Yeah, I mean, the respect is there. Every person in the whole organization respected Rich. I mean, they'd all probably say the same thing about him, like great person, great leader, and he just definitely wanted the best for everybody in the room. So, I mean, he's just a great person.
What about your relationship as you are dealing with kickers on the other side of you, field goal kickers, and last year having multiple field goal kickers? How is that from your perspective to deal with? Because it's got to be challenging for you, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, you're just developing relationships with kickers. I mean, my job is to hold the ball, so doesn't really matter like who's kicking. I just want them to make the kick at the end of the day. But I think just building that relationship from the ground up, whoever is kicking is very important to me, and Matt as well. So I think, yeah.
Are there smaller intricacies that go with each kicker that they like things maybe a little bit differently or want to practice more than the other or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, every kicker's got their little niche. They like the ball held a certain way, some longer steps, this and that. But I think it's just whatever they need, I'm there, and whenever they need to kick, I'll hold for them. So yeah, I'll always be ready to go for them.
That's awesome. Packers punter Daniel Whelan on his visit right now, Ireland and the UK, and you've been doing the rounds, including the Wool Shed Bar and Kitchen. Have you ever been to the Wool Shed Bar and Kitchen previously?
I have not, but I'm very excited to go to it tonight. It's going to be a pretty good time.
What does a Daniel Whelan like to have beverage wise? Are you a beer guy? Are you a bourbon guy? What's the beverage that you like?
I like Guinness. I had a couple of Guinnesses. It's been good, but I do like whiskey. I probably like every kind of alcohol there is.
Well, you fit in very nicely here in Wisconsin. Then you fit in with everybody else. Packers punter Daniel Whelan has been our guest here on Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
You bet you. Take care. There he is, Daniel Whelan, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. That's Daniel Whelan from earlier today. I had a chat talk to him early this morning. It was like 9 o'clock this morning. We had a chance to sit down and talk because obviously time difference with Ireland and his availability and so forth. So we talked this morning. So hope you enjoyed that interview. And him and Bisaccia obviously were talking. I wanted to know about the health issue potentially because Rich is obviously a little bit older. He said, nope, health is fine. Just a personal decision. As I said earlier in the 2 o'clock hour, it's just very weird that this dude's right-hand guy who he's had forever leaves to take a job in Cleveland. And then a couple days later, he steps down from the Packers. It's just the timing of all of that seems very weird. It feels like something occurred incident-wise or otherwise, and they both left and got the heck out. Because if it was all fine and dandy and you were thinking of leaving, wouldn't you have told the dude, hey, man, why don't you just stay here? You can take my gig. I'm thinking I'm just going to step down and you can just have my gig versus going to Cleveland. Like, it's Cleveland. It's the Browns. Like, why the hell would you want to go to the Browns for? When I stay here in Green Bay, first-class organization, the Packers and so forth, Goody, all this. Like, I don't know. To me, I would want to give them that opportunity if you liked where you were, right? I mean, if you liked it. Now, if the wheels are coming off and you don't like the situation, then it's like, yeah, go ahead, take that gig, and I think I'm leaving too because I'm sick of it too. Then that makes a little bit more sense. But we don't know for sure what all went down. It's just very weird, the timing of all of this.
Or the other side of things too, if the Packers front office was maybe in a more mutual discussion with this and Rich Bisaccia was the one that decided, yeah, I'm going to step down so that, save face a little bit. It happens a lot in these types of discussions.
No, let me tell you right now. If that's the case, then shame on the Packers front office. Shame on everybody involved over there. You waited until now to try and push this dude out. That is horrendous. That's horrendous on Goody. That's horrendous on LaFleur. That's horrendous on everybody involved. I don't believe that's the case. There's no way. They're not that dumb. They're just not that dumb. Because if you were going to make this move, you had a ton of guys out there that had actual good resumes that you could have went and gotten weeks ago. And you waited till now to make the decision? No. There's just no way. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, that it's like, oh, yeah, you know, this is best we part ways, and how do you want to handle this? I'll just stab him up and down. All right, sounds good. See you. Like, if that's what took place and we find out later, then
or
that's
also,
absolutely ridiculous.
Again, if they just eventually wanted to move on from Bisaccia, it would make sense to me to want to wipe your hands clean of maybe that what was already in that staff. So maybe you just want a new face in there. So that guy that went to Cleveland, maybe you're just saying, I wouldn't give him the special teams coordinator job if you decide to step down, Rich.
That better not be what happened. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up next, we're supposed to be at 3:20. We got sidetracked with Gottlieb and all this other stuff. I want to get into it now. 11-year-old kid apparently has a deal in place, the Major League Baseball team. Now, I will tell you that the deal itself, I never really heard of. Charlie and I went and dove into what this all means and everything else. And Charlie and I want to put you into the parental shoes of this 11-year-old and see how you would handle it. Because when Charlie and I talked about it in the pre-show meeting, Charlie's view on this is completely different than mine. So I want to see where everybody's at on this, because if you're a parent, you definitely can relate, I think, to how you would respond to this. That's coming up next. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Houston over there. Oh, look at that. I'm looking up at ESPN on the TV. It's WNBA Today, I think is what it is. Yeah. And I don't know who it is, but somebody's up there, got ashes on their forehead and the whole deal on TV. So if you're Catholic, Ash Wednesday, whatever. Go do your thing today. I'm going tonight myself. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of different things. Things Sparky missed, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Charlie Larson of the Admirals will join us coming up in about 20 minutes. Give us the latest on what's going on with the Admirals. They have the Gin Blossoms coming to play after an Admirals game coming up. So we'll talk to them about that. But now I want to talk about this story of this 11-year-old. And I saw this story last night on X, and I could not believe what I was reading. Like, I literally went and started going down this rabbit hole to see if this was actually true or not, or if I was getting hoaxed and it wasn't real. But based on everything I can find, it appears to be real. And this came from Wilbur Sanchez, who posted this. The Philadelphia Phillies have reached a pre-agreement with Venezuelan shortstop David Basabe, a member of the 2031 international class, for a $1.8 million bonus. At just 11 years old, Basabe becomes the youngest player in history to secure a pre-agreement with a major league organization. The agreement sets a new benchmark in the international market and places David Basabe firmly on the radar as one of the most ambitious bets of his generation. Now, we go back, not this last toy drive, but the previous toy drive when we had Matt Arnold. We were joking around about how young he looks at him. As far as scouting these guys, not him, but his scouts and all that, like 12. And now you have a pre-agreement here with an 11-year-old, the Phillies do, for close to $2 million. So Charlie and I were both like, okay, well, what the hell is a pre-agreement? What does that mean? So we Googled it. An MLB international pre-agreement is a non-binding verbal agreement made between a team and a prospect, often years before they are eligible to sign at age 16, to secure their commitment early. While illegal under strict rules, these common agreements lock in future signing bonuses, allowing teams to secure talent early, though they are not officially binding and can be broken. Teams frequently reach agreements with prospects at ages 11 to 13, despite the official signing period not opening until the player is age 16, and they must turn 17 by September 1st of the following year. The pre-nature part. These are not recognized by MLB until the official signing window, January 15th to December 15th, opens, acting as a, quote, gentleman's agreement, end quote, that pressures the player to stick with that team. Because they are not binding, teams risk losing the player to other clubs, and players sometimes flip their commitments. These agreements are a major component to the unregulated early scouting market, particularly in Venezuela and the Dominican Republic. These deals commit a portion of a team's future international bonus pool money, which is strictly capped and cannot be exceeded, unlike the draft. My question to you is this. As a parent, what are you doing? Are you okay with this move? You're like, hey, David, that's the 11-year-old's name. Hey, David, we're in. Let's do this. You're going to officially start on the road to becoming a pro. You're going to be with the Phillies Academy, whatever, however this whole thing works. And we're going to commit now at 11 that in 5 years or 6 years that you're going to be a member of the Philadelphia Phillies at this point, and we're going to agree to this pre-agreement deal. Are you there? Or are you sheltering? Oh, man, we're not agreeing to none of this stuff. Like, man, he's got 5 years. He's 11 years old. I'm not signing up or agreeing to anything at this point until we get to be 16, and then we'll talk again. Nice, thanks for the offer, but we'll just wait and see how this whole thing plays out. How do you handle this? If you're a parent of an 11-year-old and you've got this. Now, in the U.S., you can't do this because you have a draft. The issue here is with Major League Baseball, and this is something that's been long debated, which is, should the international players be a part of the amateur draft? Then, should there be an age limit on those players, like there is, where you have to be high school graduating age 18 or whatever, in order to be eligible for this draft, which means no more signing 16-year-olds. The Jackson Cheerios of the world go away. Now they go into the draft. Now, there is one big reason why I think that Major League Baseball does not want to do this. And I think part of the reason they don't want to do this is because it is absolutely going to probably take away a lot of potential top picks at the top of the round to take kids from Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, or whatever. This draft would now leave a lot of people on the outside looking in, more than likely in the U.S., and now would be signing really minimal deals instead of even being drafted at that point. They'd be signing really minimal deals and essentially living out of their car probably in order to go play minor league baseball for however long. So you're essentially protecting your high school and college product in the U.S. by not allowing this to occur. The other idea that has been thought of is just doing a separate international draft. The same way you do the amateur draft, you do an international draft. Now, why they can't get that deal up and off the ground, I have no idea. I don't know where the issue is here or why they can't get that executed. That makes sense. But from a Brewers fan perspective, I don't want the international draft. Let us scout and sign whoever we feel is best of value with the money that's allotted to us at that point. Because clearly the Brewers international scouting is on point right now. And not every organization has great international scouting. You realize when Mark Antanasio got here, the Brewers were an absolute joke international scouting wise, as far as the money they were investing and all of that. And while everybody gets upset at Brewers payroll and so forth, the owner of this team has invested quite a bit into having academies and having these top tier type things in other countries to improve international scouting and giving them the resources and finances they need to go out and find these kids and bring these kids in. And now you're starting to see the fruits of this labor here. And so to go international draft route would not be good for the Milwaukee Brewers, obviously. But at the same time, an 11-year-old, my kid turns 10 in next week. Like, that's crazy to me.
I mean, this just feels really scummy to me, if I'm being completely honest. And I want to start this by saying, A, I'm not a parent.
You're not, no.
And B, I'm not from Venezuela.
Are you about to be a parent?
No.
Do you want to break news?
No, I'm not breaking any news.
Because your dad listens, so this would be big for him,
I will
too.
not be breaking any news, Dad.
He's not going to be a grandpa.
He's not going to be a grandpa.
Okay, all right.
Not a parent, and I'm not born and raised in Venezuela. I was born and raised here in Wisconsin. I don't know what it's like to grow up there and what it's like to have these kinds of pressures put on you.
No doubt.
So, at the same time, this is an 11-year-old kid who, yes, right now wants to play baseball, but hasn't had time to decide what he wants to do with his life at all at this point. He's just growing up and starting to see this kind of success for himself here. And I think dangling $1.8 million that he won't be able to touch for 5 more years, something that you can pull yourself out of if he doesn't play well, or he can pull himself out of if he wants to, which I think is fair by his part. He's 11 years old. He should be able to do what he wants whenever he gets to the age of 16. I think dangling it here in front of him now is just really strange, so that you can just pull it away if he doesn't play well. And now a kid growing up in Venezuela, where he was promised $1.8 million, all of a sudden doesn't have $1.8 million in his bank account when he's 16 years old. That seems so wrong to me. How can you, as a franchise who has so much money, who is able to pay these players so much as is, just dangle that and just take advantage of people trying to find a change in their lives?
So, as a parent, let's look at it from another perspective. And you're talking about the pressures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we're about to start 10U baseball for my kid, right? And there's changeover every year on the team. Kids go to different teams, new kids come into our team. It's constant change or whatever else. Could you imagine there's an 11-year-old signed for $1.8 million in Wisconsin, and these parents that are already nuts and think their kids are going to the big leagues, now there's millions on the line once you turn 11 and 12. Can you imagine what that's like? I mean, these parents would have kids hitting and throwing and playing every day of the week, spending all kinds of money trying to figure out how to get them even better, yelling at coaches. My kid should be earning $1 million next year, and you screwed this whole thing up for us. Like the intensity level would be ratcheted up 100 times.
You would be breeding
if you were able to do that.
You would be breeding a generation of kids that hate their parents when they grow up. Like, to be forced into all of that. Yeah, some of the kids would be okay with that, but I think a lot of kids would learn to hate baseball at some point because they're just being pressured by their parents. And then when they do become famous baseball players and have millions of dollars, you know who's not getting any of that money? Their parents that pushed them through all of that.
But you could look at it from another perspective too, and I know this happens. So just even locally here in Wisconsin, right? So you're getting scouted by the Yankees.
Right.
You're getting scouted by the Brewers or the Mariners or the Nationals, whoever it may be. And now there's post workouts. You get done playing your high school game. Everybody's off the field. Lights are on. And now they want to see you hit 10 o'clock at night. They want to see you throw and all that. Then you get on a plane the next morning and you fly to go do a workout somewhere else. And then you get them home. A couple days later, you fly, you go do a workout somewhere else. And again, I'm talking about top prospects, right?
Right.
Imagine going through all of that, not going to your senior prom, not going to your junior prom, not going and doing everything else. And all you're doing is baseball, baseball, baseball. Now, you get drafted. You go into the minor leagues. 3 to 5 years later, it's over. Never make it to the big leagues. Never make it past AA or whatever the case may be. And yeah, you made some money if you're a high draft pick or whatever the case may be. But all those memories that all these other high school kids made, gone. You've got all the memories of the workouts and all that. You wonder how many kids are like, damn.
And now you're trying to do that to an 11-year-old.
Yes.
Now you're trying to do it even earlier. That's
11.
insane to me.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's junior and senior year. I can't even imagine. 11 up? Like, to lose all of that?
Lose middle school, lose all of high school. That's crazy.
Mommy and daddy, I had my first school dance. No, you got to go hit. You're not going. I mean, goodness
You got to go hit against 19-year-olds. That's what some of these 11-year-olds are doing too. The videos, they're of like them going as high schoolers. It's crazy.
Ron in Rome, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Ron?
I was in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago, and I was online waiting for these king cakes for 2 hours, and the lady behind me told me that she had twin sons who were good in soccer, and they were 13. They were recruited by the Philadelphia Major League Soccer team.
Yep.
And they put them in an academy, and the team got both these people jobs, and they were highly professional people. One was a chief financial officer, and the other one was a executive in the social services. They got them both a job, got them an apartment in Philadelphia, and they moved there for a couple of years. And then they must have moved back this year, and their kids are 17 and they're still in this academy, and they're twin boys.
Again, you will do everything to make sure you get the talent that you want. And if you think the talent that you want is potential superstar talent, like he just said, you have, again, that's MLS. That's again, MLS is good and all of that, but that's not Major League Baseball money. That's not NFL. That's not NBA or NHL. That's a lower tier, and they're going through all of this for teenagers, moving their family, getting their parents jobs, and all of that. Thanks for the call, Charlie. You in on that? Hey, Charlie, we want to move you and your family out here to Philadelphia so your kids can play soccer nonstop while they go to school. And we'll get you a job at WIP in Philadelphia to talk about the Eagles and the Phillies.
Yeah,
are you in?
That's crazy. Like, I don't think every franchise would do that. To me, for some reason, that makes more sense to do that in the MLS than it does in the MLB. When you're a smaller league with smaller draw to you, you're trying to find any way to make money. And sometimes spending money is the way to make money in a lot of these situations. So trying to get these parents jobs, getting these players into your academy can really be a boost for your franchise that you can make some money off of. The MLB, all these teams are worth billions of dollars at this point. You don't need that same kind of boost from these small time prospects that could eventually be big time, but they're 11 years old right now. Like, that's different. I don't think the Phillies are offering this kid's parents jobs in Philadelphia. I don't think they're doing any of that because they haven't even actually guaranteed the money to the kid.
Correct. But again, even as teenagers, you know, to move your whole family to go to be a part of their soccer academy at that age, I couldn't imagine what I would do. Like, I love my job. I love working with you. I love the people I work with. If somebody came and offered my kid, whatever the age, Hey, we want you to come here, be a part of this elite academy. We're going to get your mom and dad jobs, the whole deal. Say goodbye to your friends in school. You'll have your own new soccer friends at the training academy. Let's go.
That's definitely a lot more likely. And those kids were a little bit older.
Charlie,
yeah, 2
how
years.
do you look at your kid and go, sorry, we're not going to let you have this opportunity?
You have to have it. Like, I know this is going to sound crazy. And again, I know I don't have kids, but you have to have a conversation with your kid. You have to sit down with them and ask them if this is something they want to do. I think you also have to
say yes,
then you go for it. And if they a year later say they don't want to be a part of this anymore, then you allow them to step out of that too. You allow them to have that opportunity too.
If they want to go, I'm not saying no. Like, would it suck for me personally, get uprooting and going through all this and finding a new job, potentially not in radio, having to go find a normal job, which I do not want to have to do all of this? Yeah, I'd do anything for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if he says no, if he's hesitant about it, then no, you don't go. You let him be a kid where he is.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. No, now that I'm with you on. I'm not forcing him to go do this academy. Like, I ask him all the time, I'm like, you sure you want to play baseball again? You sure you want to bowl? Are you sure you want to do this? And yeah, I love it. Okay, sounds good. Whatever. I mean, he wants to play everything, and it's like we can't play everything. Everything conflicts. Like, it just can't happen.
When I was his age, I found out what I wanted to play pretty fast soccer. I laid down in the middle of the field in like my 4th ever game because I got too tired. So I was not on the same boat. I did not want to try everything.
He loves playing soccer, but he can't play now because it conflicts with baseball.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work, right? And then he gets all mad, like, why can't I do it all? Because it's just not going to work, dude. He's Charlie using C Sparky Fiver with you. Coming up next, things that we missed on the show brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Charlie Larson of the Admirals will join us. They got the Gin Blossoms coming to play after an Admirals game, so stay tuned to find out about that. And I know you know about the Potawatomi Sportsbook, right? Game-winning thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a buzzer-beating 3. Lots of those coming, college and pros, man. Lots of it coming up here through March and into April. It's Sparky, and you know the feeling. There's only one place to experience the raw exhilaration, Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in Supreme Space. Dozens of sports betting kiosks. They got them right there off of the parking garage, right across from Rock & Brews. Great restaurant, by the way. Cool drinks, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, luxury seating, 2 different levels there. Great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet, 30 different sporting events at one time. There will not be a better viewing experience anywhere you go in this area. I promise you. I say it's the best sports book in the Midwest as we sit here today. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Always recommend reserving your seat ahead of time. Yes, there's a nominal food and beverage cost, but it guarantees you a seat when you want to watch the games. And you don't have to worry about standing and so forth. Again, they got a couple hundred seats. There's lots of room. But I'm telling you, it fills up fast because people are coming from all over to hang out at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up next, we'll talk with Charlie Larson of the Admirals. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Fiber with you. Charlie Hughes in other side of the glass. Tell me what's Wisconsin Sports wrap-up comes up 5 to 6 o'clock tonight. I know normally it's Hot Stove Weekly on Wednesday nights with Tim and Tim Allen. However, we have a college basketball game in Milwaukee tonight, so we are doing it on Thursday night this week and next week. So tomorrow night from 5 to 7, Tim Allen, Tommy Wirtz, Hot Stove Weekly. Definitely going to want to stick around and tune in for that tomorrow night, again, from 5 until 7. Time now to get to the things that we missed.
I can hear you now. For some reason, I couldn't hear you before.
A reminder here before we get to Charlie Larson, if you have suggestions for the bumper music for this show, you have about 12 minutes left. We're cutting this off at 5 o'clock. We're going to try and debut some new bumper music on Monday. So if you want to listen to hear songs that you like playing on this show, it's only for this show. Use the Nicolay Law Talk text line now, 414-677-1250. Text in or use the Dugout YouTube chat or X chat for music you'd like to hear. Again, 414-677-1250. We're 1250. We're cutting this off at 5 o'clock. Charlie Larson joins us now from the Milwaukee Admirals. Charlie, if I asked you, what would you like to hear as our bumper music here on the show? Do you have a group, a song? What would you like?
I mean, how about the good old hockey game? You know, that song that plays, you know, when they out at Admirals games. The good old hockey game is the best game you can name. I mean, that would be all right. Otherwise, anything from Megadeth.
I was not expecting that.
Charlie
answer.
Death wanting Megadeth as bumper music? Who saw
No,
that coming?
That's a joke. That's a joke. But I'd take some, you know, Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison. I'm a child of the '80s, so give me the hair metal from the '80s, and I'm good.
Well, I saw Judas Priest got a nomination earlier on, so that would be in that same realm as what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Milwaukee Admirals. When is Megadeth playing?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We've had some heavy metal before. We had Skillet, who's like Christian heavy metal.
That also got nominated today. Skillet has got nominated. Yep.
And they put on a production show like you can't even imagine. They're playing after one of our games, and it's like they're playing to, AmFam Field packed. It was awesome. It was so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've had some heavy metal, but our country is kind of that's our core groups that we kind of lean on. And we have Dropkick Murphys coming up in a little bit. We got Gin Blossoms, good segue. Gin Blossoms coming in on Saturday night after the game. Concert's free with a game ticket. So if you are born a little bit after me, Gin Blossoms is kind of like right up your alley there.
Yeah, I would assume that it's going to be a packed house for Gin Blossoms would be my guess coming up on Saturday night. Between now and then, though, you got some other stuff coming up, including tonight, a Summerfest winning weekday tonight, plus it's Winter Games night.
Yeah, Winter Games night. We had still time if you want. You get a Roscoe bobblehead for a special Olympic themed. I don't know if I can say that, but I'm gonna Olympic themed Roscoe, and as part of the ticket package. And we got a bunch of stuff. All the contestants tonight for our games are winning medals, and we've got 3,000 cups from Major Goolsby's that are winter sports themed that all the fans are gonna take home as well. So when it's Summerfest winning Wednesday, if you had come to our first weekday game on October 29th, you got to come for free to the next 7 weekday games. So it was buy one, get 7 free. We finally lost one of those, but we're starting a new streak tonight, Sparky. That's what we're going for.
I love it. Here's another cool deal coming up on Friday night. Puck drop, by the way, tonight is 7 o'clock against Texas. Then you play Texas again Friday night at 7 o'clock. Fair deal Friday. As a fan of the State Fair, I'm a big fan of this one.
Yeah, State Fair is great. Obviously, we love the State Fair. Admirals ticket for the game, State Fair ticket for this year, $24, or is it 26? I can't remember, but it's a great deal either way. You can't beat that. And it kind of gives you like something to look forward to for the summer. Not that we're not looking forward to the rest of the Admiral season, but the shorts weather and everything like that. It's Summerfest or Brewers games, things like that. Stuff in the summer that we love to do.
It's awesome stuff. There he is, Charlie Larson. Get yourself to an Admirals game tonight, Friday night, Saturday night. Take advantage of this homestand. Again, Gin Blossoms post-game concert coming up Saturday night, 6 o'clock puck drop against the Griffins on Saturday night. Charlie, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Sparky, thanks for having me as usual. Have a good day.
Take care. There he is, Charlie Larson, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. Again, this segment normally is things that we missed. And one of the things that we have not talked about is the spring training press release that the Brewers sent out today as we sit here today. They sent out an idea of how many of these spring training games are going to be out there. The schedule features 20 radio broadcasts, all of which will be available on the Brewers radio network. 8 spring training games will be streamed at brewers.tv and free with a valid MLB.com account in the MLB app. And 8 additional games will be live streamed at brewers.com. Now, again, I read this as there's nothing on over-the-air TV. Charlie reads this as there's going to be something on live TV, but that's not how I read this. I read this as if you go to the Brewers.tv website, you'll be able to see 8 spring training games because they haven't even announced a channel number for any of the providers yet as far as what channel it's going to be. So it does not appear to me that any of these games are going to be on TV.
Yeah, so this is David Gasper that was quote tweeting the Brewers out there. He just said first TV game will be Sunday the 22nd. First TV game with BA and Rock will be the 28th.
The last broadcast of the Cactus League schedule will be streamed at brewers.tv on Sunday, March 22nd at the Chicago Cubs Marquee Sports Network production. The exhibition schedule will close with 2 games against the Reds in American Family Field, the 23rd and 24th, both carried on the Brewers radio network. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. But for me, you say stream, I think of an app or a computer. You say it's on Brewers TV, then I view it somewhere way differently. And again, they haven't even announced channel numbers yet. So I'm a little bit, we're running out of time, folks. Like, this is the end of February, first game.
You got to figure it out.
We're about a month out from the first game. Like,
whether it's on TV or not, you got to put out those channel numbers.
But they have to come to agreements with all of these people, right? With DirecTV, with Spectrum, with all of these different ones, Charter, whatever the case may be. Coming up next, it's Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up with Tommy Wirtz. I'll bring you the best of what happened on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network today from 5 to 6. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up tomorrow on the show, Dr. Dave Margolis and Children's Wisconsin have a big announcement tomorrow, so stay tuned for that.